If you're gearing up to sell your house, I would bet money you've typed this exact question into a search engine. Should I price my home high to leave room to negotiate? I mean, it is easily one of the most common and honestly totally understandable dilemmas that any homeowner faces when getting ready to sell. You obviously want the best return on your investment, so naturally you wonder if you should aim high right out of the gate.
Well, welcome to this explainer of Real Estate 101 with Nick DeMers from Northwoods Property Team. Today, we are unpacking a pretty fascinating concept that Nick calls the overpricing trap. We're going to discover together exactly why the highest starting price is actually often not the strongest home pricing strategy. And we'll look at how positioning your listing correctly from day one is the real secret to maintaining your leverage.
So here's our roadmap for today. We'll start with the high pricing temptation, then look at how buyers actually behave, dive into pricing in Northern New Hampshire, explore the days on market trap, face the price reduction reality, and wrap up with what smart pricing looks like.
All right, let's jump right into Section 1, the high pricing temptation, protecting your equity and leaving negotiating room. Now, it is perfectly natural to want to start high. You want to protect your equity and make absolutely sure you aren't leaving money on the table. Your listing price is simply your initial asking price when that home goes on the market. But, here's where the trap really begins. Sellers read all these flashy headlines about a hot seller's market, and they just assume a sky-high number is completely harmless. They think, well, we can always reduce it later, right? Spoiler alert on that one, it can massively backfire.
Which brings us right back to the core question we started with. Should you price your home high just to leave that room to negotiate?
And here is the direct answer. While a little bit of wiggle room makes sense, Nick DeMers warns that overpricing actively reduces buyer activity before negotiations even have a chance to start. So why does this matter to you? Because pushing the best buyers away on day one literally costs you your biggest advantage before they even step foot on your welcome mat.
Moving on to Section 2, let's look at how buyers actually behave, focusing on that crucial online first impression. So you might be wondering, do buyers actually make low offers on overpriced homes? Like, if it's too high, won't they just try to bargain down?
Actually, there is a massive disconnect here between seller expectations and buyer reality. The listing price is really a marketing strategy. It dictates exactly how your home appears in online searches. Now, sellers tend to assume buyers will just haggle. But in reality, buyers scroll past overpriced listings faster than a bad movie on Netflix. They are comparing homes online way before they ever schedule a showing. If your price doesn't match the market, they're just going to keep scrolling. And all that scrolling directly kills your buyer activity. That means your online views, your saves, and most importantly, your showing requests. If that activity drops off a cliff, you end up with fewer showings, fewer offers, and absolutely zero leverage.
Which brings us to Section 3, pricing in Northern New Hampshire. Relying on local data over guesswork. Selling a home up in Northern New Hampshire is a completely different ballgame than a fast-moving city market. Just look at the stuff buyers are comparing up here. Septic systems, wells, heating systems, acreage, basement condition, and the local pricing varies wildly. A home in Northumberland or Groveton attracts a very different buyer than a rural property in Stark, Stratford, or Lancaster. You absolutely have to use local data, not guesswork, because these rural specifics and financing types matter immensely to your final bottom line.
Let's move to Section 4, the days on market trap and shifting buyer perception.
So let's look at the actual chronological life cycle of an overpriced home. Days on market is simply how long your home has been actively listed for sale. Now, it looks like a harmless little digital counter on a real estate website, right? But it's actually one of the most powerful psychological triggers in the entire real estate industry.
Which naturally leads to this critical question. Why do days on market matter so much when selling a home? Why does a simple digital counter hold so much power over your ultimate sale price?
Well, here is exactly how buyer perception shifts over time. In week 1, you have that amazing new listing energy. Buyers see it pop up and they're frantically asking their agent, how fast do we need to act? But if the price is too high, by week 3, their showings dry up. By week 6, you are usually being forced into dropping the price. And by week 8, buyers are looking at your listing, narrowing their eyes and asking, what's wrong with it? Is the seller getting desperate? Instead of a sense of urgency, you have created hesitation.
That brings us to Section 5, the price reduction reality, trying to reset the clock. When a home just sits there, the standard panic reaction is a price reduction to try and reset that clock. This sequence we're looking at is the exact definition of the overpricing trap. A high price leads directly to less activity, which leads to longer days on market, which creates buyer doubt. And the final result? Completely lost leverage for you. See, your negotiating position is basically your armor during offer discussions. And yes, sure, dropping your asking price can definitely bring some renewed attention, but Nick points out a really tough reality here. A price drop almost never restores that magical week one energy. At this point, you are negotiating on defense rather than playing on offense.
All right, let's wrap this up with Section 6, what smart pricing actually looks like, choosing strategy over hope.
The solution from Northwoods' property team is to price with strategy, not just hope, which usually prompts a very valid question from homeowners. Does smart pricing mean pricing low? Am I supposed to just give my house away?
Absolutely not. No way. Smart pricing definitely does not mean pricing low. Smart pricing is a highly intentional strategy based on local data, property condition, and current competition. The goal isn't just blindly picking the highest number that feeds your ego. The true goal is finding that exact sweet spot, the number that compels serious buyers to schedule a showing and write a highly competitive offer.
So, the huge takeaway here for anyone in Northern New Hampshire is crystal clear. Nick DeMers highly recommends building your strategy before you pick your price. You really don't want to let the desire for negotiating room sabotage your digital first impression and end up pushing your absolute best buyers away.
I want to leave you with this final thought to really chew on for your own property. Will your pricing strategy attract buyers, or is it going to push them away? If you want to make sure you are pricing with strategy, definitely reach out to Nick DeMers at Northwoods Property Team. His contact information is right there for you. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and hey, happy strategizing.
Thanks for watching. I hope this helped make the real estate process a little more clear for you. If you liked what you saw, give the channel a like and subscribe, and be sure to check out more videos on Real Estate 101. I'll be answering questions that sellers and buyers in today's market have on their mind. And if you have a question, drop it in the comments. I'm Nick DeMers with the Northwoods Property Team, and we'll see you next time.